Hello, everyone. Awake? Okay, good. It's a big day for me today. I'm turning 50. I know, I'm too handsome to be 50, right? Thank you. But I spent almost half of my life working on one way or another on something related to innovation. So I'm now an academic. I teach at Carnegie Mellon University, entrepreneurship and specifically innovation entrepreneurship. But before that, I spent about 20 years in California and I worked on a number of technology startup companies. So I was fortunate, or maybe unfortunate, to have seen two boom and busts in the Silicon Valley. What I'm going to talk to you about today, and I know I'm talking to people probably who know significantly more than I do about this topic, but I'm going to talk to you about innovation hubs. You know, I've been doing research over the past few years on the question on why is it that certain spaces or certain regions or certain hubs give rise to innovation versus others that don't. And I don't want to go into a lot of details on that, but I found out that there are really 4 different characteristics, that patterns, if you will, that what we call innovation hubs. An innovation hub could be a city, or could be a building, could be an education city, could be a region, on what are the patterns that actually enable them to produce the talent and the abilities to become innovation. Let me make sure we're on the same page. When I talk about innovation, I talk about the ideas, concepts, the discoveries, and more recently, the products and services that have high impact on us as individuals and communities and societies. And what I found is that innovation hubs share these 4 common characteristics. First of all, they're diverse. There's always a diversity of people and ideas and disciplines that when they collide, they give rise to innovation. Number 2, they mostly have what I call inclusive financial and legal systems where everybody can share in the upside of the outcome. Number 3 is stability. Innovation is a long-term process. It's not something that happens overnight. It happens over years. So the people who are involved in it feel to know that they're part of a community, they're anchored to a place where things could actually allow them to help create and survive all the downturns that can happen through their journey. And the last one is what I call culture, but what I really mean by that is the environment. And part of the environment is the space. And what I want to do now is talk to you about the element of space and how spaces really can support and enable innovation. It's interesting because if you look at history, and what I call the early innovation hubs over history, most of us, if we want to try to visualize what these innovation hubs look like, we think about the space. So when we talk about Athens, the city that gave rise to innovation in philosophy and government, we think about the town square. It's a space. When we talk about Baghdad, that gave rise to scientific discoveries that have lasted for centuries, we think about Dar al-Hikmah, which is the space that Harun Rashid have built with his son to bring all the scientists from all over the world to come and collaborate. When we think about Florence, the cradle of the Renaissance, we think about the art guilds and the art academies, places where people actually collaborate to paint and create inspiring arts and writings. And when we think about the Silicon Valley in the 20th century, we think about Google's headquarters. You know, the colorful spaces and places that have enabled the scientists, engineers, designers, and the creators to really give us most of what the internet is today. So we think about spaces when we think about innovation hubs. More recently, innovation is really associated with products and services. So ideas, scientific discoveries, art, all of these things happen in the past. More recently, when we talk about innovation, we really talk about the products and services that are changing our lives today fundamentally for the better. So if you think about the Silicon Valley, and I don't necessarily mean only the commercial products and services. When you think about the Silicon Valley, and think about Netflix and Uber, the way we change transportation. We think about Genentech, the beginning of genetic engineering. We think about Bitcoin that's trying to reinvent what currency is. We think about a lot of social innovations like Kiva, the microfinancing platform, or the Khan Academy that is now teaching more kids than any other academic or learning institute in the world today. This is how we describe innovation today: high impact and potentially high growth ideas and ventures that are changing our world. Why is that important? Well, if you are somebody who is involved in policy making or leadership and you want to inspire innovation in a place where you are, you have to think about what are the things that you have to put in place to allow people to become creative. And why is that? It's, you know, in the 1970s, two Harvard professors have wrote really a good paper that basically stated that basically all businesses and organizations fit into one of three categories: infrastructure management, customer relationship management, or product innovation. And if you are a leader in an institution in any one of these three different categories, you have to think about what is really important in your organization. So if you are an infrastructure management company, you're building roads, you know, sewage systems, you're for the most part a government system. The important thing for you is to put a system of command and control to make sure that everybody is doing what they're supposed to do. So you think about things like time cards. I want people to show up every day at 7 o'clock in the morning and leave at 5. Why? Because I'm an infrastructure management company and we need to make sure that everybody's doing what they have to do. If you are a company or an organization in customer relationship management, if you're a restaurant or a bank or a retailer, you think about processes, because efficient processes lead to better customer satisfaction. Efficient processes lead to better productivity, which is ultimately how you make money if you are in one of these businesses. But if you are in product innovation, if you're a leader of an organization that's trying to create a new product and service that's going to change the world for the better, you have to think about the creativity of your employees. Because the most important thing in your organization is the brain and talent of your people. And you have to think about, how do I actually create the culture that inspire people to do their best, to give me their best? And I argue that creating spaces for them is part of that puzzle. And what I want to talk to you now in the next few slides are things that I personally believe in, and things that I have personally come to understand as somebody who's led a number of these innovation projects and trying to think about, okay, how do I create the best environment for my employees to give me their best, to be creative, to work with each other, to innovate. And I think about 4 elements. I need them to be inspired every day they show up to work. I need them to be encouraged to collaborate with each other. I need to be able to give them the space in time and space to think deeply and problem solve on their own. And I need to stimulate them. So if I want them to come and spend 8 hours a day in my company, I have the responsibility to provide them with a space that give them all of the above, what I'm talking about here. And again, you probably know more than I do about how to create spaces to allow for these things. But my responsibility as a leader, and what I want you to give you now and have you take away with me from here, is that when you talk to people about designing spaces for them that encourage their people to get inspired, create innovation, you have now 4 points of discussions that you want to anchor them around. Inspire, collaborate, think, and stimulate. And what I'm going to show you right now are 4 different slides about, they're all examples from companies where I come from, the Silicon Valley. This is not to say that Silicon Valley is the know-it-all. In fact, I argue that you shouldn't probably duplicate what Silicon Valley companies are doing. Because what inspires people in the Silicon Valley may be very different from what inspire people here today. It may be the same, you know, humans have a lot of things in common than differences. But when you want to design a space that allows for all of these things, you have to take into consideration the local factors when you are actually creating these designs. And as long as you provide space that enable all of these four things to happen, then you are at least putting the foundation to create innovation. There are a lot of different other things that as a leader you have to do to inspire innovation, things like incentives and stuff like that, but today I'm only going to talk about the space. So let's start with inspire. At least to me, nothing is more inspiring than nature. So if you want to build a space for innovation, think about how you bring nature to it. Okay, so the picture there on the top, the picture on the top and the picture on the lower left hand are all ideas on how nature is built within the organizations, outside and inside. You know, the picture on the bottom left there is actually an indoor cafe in an organization. And they, you know, what I don't know if these are natural or not, I think they're natural trees. But that's a mechanism to actually bring nature to your employees. The second part of inspiration, I think equally important and equally powerful, is art. Art is a very inspiring thing. You know, so when you walk around and you sit in a conference room where there are art objects all around you, you get inspired. Same way you get inspired by nature. Okay, collaborate, that's easy. You don't see a single company today in the Silicon Valley that has offices or cubicles anymore. It all looks like that on the top. They're open spaces. What that means is that your everyday working environment is an environment that encourages you to collaborate with others. You're there looking at, it's an open space. You're next to other people. You're constantly encouraged to actually reach out and talk to them. Because collaboration is part of innovation. It's actually an essential part of innovation. None of us today is smart enough to come up with ideas on our own. We need other people. And to build this space for people to be encouraged to actually see each other and collaborate is really the open space environment. In fact, if you look at that picture over there in the conference room, even the conference room itself doesn't have to be closed. You don't want to close people away and make them feel that they are. Conference rooms are meant to be soundproof. You want the space so that you can yell at each other and people don't hear you. But it's okay for you to be in the middle of other people. In fact, I think you want to see them, right? So the idea of having a window, I don't know if the pictures, you can see it well, but it's actually a conference room that is built right inside the open space, where there's a table and chairs, and you can see it from both sides. Collaboration spaces don't have to be also very rigid and formal environments. They could look like your living room. So this picture there with what it looks like a living room, it's actually part of Airbnb headquarters. You can go and grab coffee and go sit on a couch, and they even have the lamps and the nice carpets. All of that is to make you feel at ease and enable people to have discussions and ideas exchange. Okay, now think. The third part. Where do you get your best ideas usually? Shower? And no, we cannot really have showers in an organization, but we can get close. This is Google's Zurich, that picture up on the top. Not only they have water, I think I don't know if I buy this research, but they said that it's really not about the shower, it's about the sound of water. So you're sitting there thinking, you're in massage chairs, or you are in a bathtub, literally, that looks like a chair and a seat, and you're looking at water. The idea here is that what gets people to think the space is different for different people. So for us, for me, 50-year-old right now, the environment that I want to be alone and problem solve and think is really different from a 20-year-old right now. Because 20-year-old kids love to be in coffee houses with their headphone on. So why not create an environment for them that allow them to actually think in a place where they can think the best? So the idea of having cubicles and closed offices so that you can have your time to think about things, I think is an idea that needs to be revisited. Okay? Swings on the top of a building, that's another place to think and problem solve. It's basically just a space that you want to be alone, not bothered, but a space that allows you to actually focus on certain problem you want to solve on your own. And lastly, stimulate. So stimulate is play, exercise, and eat. And these are all pictures from Google headquarters. You know, you get to play video games, play music, you get to go to the rooftop and play golf, you get to swim in a lap pool, which is, I think, is a brilliant use of space because you can do laps while you're on the roof of the building. And they have this amazing cafeteria with organic food that's available 24/7. So inspire, collaborate, think, and stimulate. A space that allows you to actually get all of these 4 things every day in your environment at work without having to leave work to do something else. So what do we have here in the Education City? I believe we have a very strong, diverse community. And that's something that's going really well for us. And what I mean by diverse, not only just nationality, but I mean nationality, age groups, disciplines, gender, all of the elements to create a good innovation hub. Inclusive legal and financial system, we're getting there. I think we need more work on that front. Spaces supporting innovation. I think this is something I leave to you to decide whether or not we've done enough or we have more work to do on that front. But at the end of the day, why is that important? You know, why do we care about innovation? We live in a troubled region. And I don't think we can depend on governments to solve problems that we have around us. And we have a lot of problems. We have traffic problems, the ones that Majd have talked about, not just in Doha, but in places like Cairo and Amman and Dubai. Serious education problems all around us, healthcare problems, and government corruption. It's a big problem. I think all of these problems could be solved through innovation. And I look to places like Education City because of its ability to get started with a diverse group, to be at the lead of the teams, the communities, the peoples, the organizations who can help us solve these problems. So to me, Education City can actually be the next cradle of innovation in the region, hopefully. And with that, I'm actually 2 minutes earlier. So thank you very much.